The Simple Show explains the Olympic Games, Part 2, Curiosities. This is Eric Mosambani from Equatorial Guinea and the Italian water polo team from 1920. Although there are 80 years of Olympic flame between them, they do have one thing in common. They have both gone down in the history of the Olympic Games in another way. Let's start with Eric Mosambani. Thanks to a wild card, in other words, without having previously qualified, Eric was allowed to participate in the Summer Olympic Games in Sydney. And he was quite excited. After all, Eric had only learnt how to swim 8 months ago. Now, there Eric was in Australia and was supposed to compete against a Nigerian and a Tajikistani. When the other two were disqualified for false starts, Eric dived in on his own, into the biggest swimming pool he had ever been in. And swam and swam and swam. 100 meters and nearly 2 minutes later, Eric made it back. Since then, Eric has officially been the slowest Olympic swimmer of all time. Nevertheless, Eric was pleased as punch. After all, in his homeland, he had just set a new national record. Just a second. Who's laughing? Oh, our friends from Italy are making fun of Eric's swimming abilities. Then it's time to tell their story. The year is 1920. The Olympic Games are being held in Belgium, and it looks like it's a little bit cold. When the time comes for the Italian water polo team to compete against the Swedish national team, only one Italian jumps into the water, the captain. The water is too cold for the rest. Although he fights bravely, Il Capitano concedes when the score reaches 7-0. The fact that later in the Olympic Games in Belgium, the national anthem of the Italians was misplaced only seems fair. Instead, they played O Solo Mio. That means, Oh my son, in English. So, dear Italians, who's laughing now?